Pick a number from 1 to 5. The winning number today is 1. Homework check today is not 50, it's 100. It's the after-test assignment. And since we have to operate off of the iPad mini here, I need everybody from Applegate down to Deerfield to come up first. 11 out of 19 had homework today, and that is 58%. Here are the answers. You're going to check right and wrong, and you'll get 1 point extra for everything that you get right. And then put it at the top of your page and circle it. It must be the number you had right, not the number you missed. 1 is 33. 2 is 27.5. 3 is 122. 4 is 13. 5 is 45. 6 is 13. 7 is 84. 8 is 14. 9 is 29. 10 is 108. 11 is 9. 12 is 13. 13 is 19.5. 14 is 5. 15 is negative 17. 16 is negative 12. 17 is negative 12. 18 is 65. 19 is 287. 20 is 56. Here's the test review. We will go over the answers first so you can check it, and then we'll go back and look at any work if you need to see it. Number 1 is negative 1. 2 is negative I. 3 is negative I. 4 is, I think I cut it off. That doesn't even make any sense to me. It should be a negative 1 minus I. Yeah, that's what it is, a negative 1 minus I. I put the parentheses in there for some strange reason. I don't know why I did that. 5 is negative 12I. 6 is negative 5 minus I. 7 is I. 8 is negative 1. 9 is 14 minus 12, or not 12, but minus 2I. 10 is 2 plus I. 11 is negative 6I. 12 is negative 2. 13 is 15 plus 8I. 14 is negative 24 minus 12I. 15 is negative I. 16 is negative I. 17 is negative 3 minus 12I. 18 is negative 3 plus I. 19 is negative I. 20 is negative 1. Extra credit A is 69. B is negative 8. C is 12. D is 142. E is negative 14. Today's objective: The complex number system, continuing on with the I, use complex numbers in polynomial identities and equations. Solve quadratic equations with real coefficients that have complex solutions. So here's an example. A quadratic equation is in the form ax squared plus by plus c equals 0. That's back from Algebra 1, the quadratic formula and quadratic equations. Just remember that you have a, b, and c, which includes the sign in front of each whenever you're pulling them out. The discriminant, not discriminate, it is the discriminant. There we go. It should be NT, not TE. B squared minus 4AC. Remember this, because this is going to let you know if the solution to your quadratic equation is going to be imaginary or if it's going to be real. That is the item under the square root sign for the quadratic formula. So if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, then you will have an imaginary solution. If the item under the square root sign for the quadratic formula is less than 0, then you're going to have an imaginary solution, and it's going to be a complex number, a plus bi, in that form. Alright, so here comes an example. The problem is 2x squared plus x plus 6 equals 0. These screens should build on each other, so something will appear underneath this, just in case you don't get it written down. Once you see the screen flip, it doesn't mean it's different. So we have to figure out a, b, c for the quadratic equation above. What is a? A is 2. What is b? Nope. Not x and not 0.
1.
Yes, there's a 1 written beside, or not written beside the x, but it is there. 1x. So b is 1. And what is c? 6, right. So we have 2, 1, and 6. If you mess that up, then you're doomed for the rest of the problem. Remember, it's a is this and the sign in front of it, this and the sign in front of that for b, and the 6 and the sign in front of it for c. So the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. We want to use that to test and see if we're going to have a complex solution for this. So we have a, b, and c. It was 2, 1, and 6, and we're going to have to plug those in. So if I plug in 2, 1, and 6 into this formula, a was 2, b was 1, and c was 6. So evaluate that expression out and see if it is 0 or greater or less than 0. If it's less than 0, then we're going to end up with complex numbers. So 1 squared is 1, and on the right side you have 4 times 2 times 6, which is 48. So are we going to have a complex solution? Yes, because the discriminant is less than 0. Comes out to be negative 47. Now once you do this, and you go to the quadratic formula, you don't have to do it again. Because in the quadratic formula, you have b squared minus 4ac under the square root sign. So you don't have to write it all out again once you do this. Just insert negative 47 under the square root sign. So the solution is less than 0. Solution will be imaginary. Use the quadratic formula, and here it is in case it's escaped you since the 9th grade. Insert 2, 1, and 6 into the formula. So here's the formula, and I've left it blank. You just insert parentheses wherever there was a variable. We know that a is 2. There's a 2 there and a 2 there. We know that b was 1. B shows up here and here. C shows up in only one place. It was 6. It goes there at the back end. Once you do that, you need to evaluate it out. We already know that it's negative 47 under the square root sign, so don't waste your time with that. So we have negative 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 47 over 4. Okay, so now you have to think back. We're going to have to do something with this square root of negative 47. We can factor something out. Do you remember what I equals from the last test? Square root of negative 1. So I could take that out of the square root of negative 47. So you have square root of negative 1, square root of positive 47 now. You've broken those apart. If the square root of negative 1 equals I, then what can I replace the square root of negative 1 with? I. Now some write it on this side of the radical term. Some write it on this side. As long as you can clearly separate it. I don't have a problem with keeping it on the right side, but most textbooks and college professors would prefer that it's on the left side. And from now on, what we'll do is we'll agree to keep it on the left side of the square root sign. Try to keep you in line. Alright, so our solutions for this. Let's break it up. You have two different solutions. You have one with a plus sign and one with a minus sign. And I went ahead and put the i's on the right side of the radical term for this time only. An easier way to write this would be to write negative 1 plus or minus. And I could have put the I there, but I've already started the square root sign. And then put it over 4. Combine them both into just one term and put a plus or minus sign in there. I'll take this so that you don't have to write them both out. Example 2, and I'll work this one out with you. X squared plus 2x plus 10 equals 0. What is A? 1. What's B? And C. Alright. So we want to find out if this is going to be imaginary. We will do B squared minus 4AC. That would be 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 10 when you plug in the numbers. 2 squared is 4, and then 4 times 1 times 10 is 40. We come up with a negative 36. Will we have a complex solution? Yes. So now we can go on to the quadratic formula and figure out what exactly it is. So the quadratic formula, we're going to leave parentheses where there should be variables. There was a b right there, a negative b, and this will be b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And we know that the b was 2 from the problem, so we'll put a 2 here and a 2 there. And we know that a was 1, so 1 goes there and there. C is 10. Now once you reach that point, you can start working it out. What was the discriminant? Negative 36, so don't redo this. You already know it's negative 36. So put a negative 36 in there, and on the bottom 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, how can we break up the square root of negative 36? Square root of 36i is right. So we'll go negative 2 plus or minus, and we'll make it I square root of 36. We'll keep the I on the left from now on. And all of that is over 2. Now once you get to this point, you could get only half credit for this answer if this is what you turned in. Does anybody remember from Algebra 1 what is left to be done to this problem? It's what?
Cancel out.
You couldn't cancel out the 2's because there's nothing that's a constant over on this part that has a 2 in it. At least not yet.
Oh, there's a square root of 36.
Yeah, square root of 36. What is the square root of 36? 6. So you have negative 2 plus or minus. Now, do I put the I to the left of the 6 or to the right of the 6 now?
Right.
To the right, yeah. Because it's just a constant. It's a constant term, so you put the I up against the 6 on the right, just like we did on the last test. And remember, all that's over 2. Now you can simplify this, because you have 3 items in here, all of which are divisible by what? 2, yes. 2 goes into negative 2, negative 1 times. 2 goes into 6 3 times, and into itself once. So I am left with a final answer of negative 1 plus or minus 3i. And you don't put it over 1. Never put anything over 1. Negative 1 plus or minus 3i is the answer. Here's a practice. Give this one a try. On this problem, you're going to have an A of 1, B of 3, and C of 8. The discriminant, B squared minus 4AC. You're going to plug in the values you just came up with and put them in the discriminant formula. B is 3, so 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times 8. This is 9 minus 32. 9 minus 32 is a negative 23. So we're going to use that to go to the next page and find the solutions and save us some work. So for your quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that over 2a. Fill in what you know. A is 1, B is 3, and C is going to be 8. We already know this part. It came out to be a negative 23. So we'll go back and make this negative 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 23 over 2. So clearly we're going to have to simplify this to negative 3 plus or minus I square root of 23 to get that negative 1 out from under the square root sign. And then all of it over 2. Now, can you simplify the square root of 23? No. Is there anything that all 3 of these items, here, here, and here, have in common that I could factor out? No. That's it. So your final answer is this. Answer to this bonus problem is 24. Here's another bonus. Answer for this bonus should be 58. Practice 2. X squared plus 10x plus 25 equals 0. X squared plus 10x plus 25. So you're going to have an A of 1, a B of 10, and a C of 25. If you do the discriminant, you would end up with 10 squared minus 4 times 1 times 25. That's 100 minus 100, which is 0. So what does that tell me? It's not a complex answer. So keep this in mind when we go to the next page and work it out. Alright, so the quadratic equation or quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So let's pop in the a, which is 1, the b is 10, and the c is 25. Remember, we already did this. So that's going to be easy. It's just 0. So we have a negative 10, and forget about the plus or minus because you don't need plus or minus 0. All of this is gone. So it's just negative 10 over 2, which makes one singular answer of negative 5. The answer to the bonus should be negative 1. Oh, great. Wrong order. That's practice 2. Here's the homework assignment. Make sure you show all work on all problems or else I can't give you the points. And before I show you the homework, in the back of the room there's a black crate next to the orange bucket. If you're ever absent and you have your homework, or if I told you you didn't show enough work on your homework and you have to finish it, and you want to turn it in another time, find the second period folder in the crate and dump it in there. Here is tonight's homework.